Axis Mundi, the world tree, connects the many layers, worlds, and facets of our universe. The lower world of watery roots provides access points to deep self-knowledge and the realms of those who have come before us. The midworld of earth and form holds humanity and all physical things, a bridge where connections emerge. And the upper world, billowing in its airy canopy, expands with spirit and the magic of source. Traveling these roads of the Axis Mundi is you, a fiery spark of conscious life. Through this podcast, we meet beyond time and space to explore the information found along the vast arterial pathways of the universal Axis Mundi. In each episode, follow your unique compass through this journey of self-knowledge, taking what resonates and leaving the rest. My name is Meg Bartlett, and this is the Axis Channel. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Axis Channel. My name is Meg, and I am so excited that you are here with me. I'm so excited to be recording this and getting this project off the ground. This has been something I have been working on internally for a while, and we'll get a little bit into why here in a second. First of all, I'm going to introduce who I am if this is our first time meeting. I'm going to talk about what you can find in this podcast in general. What is its purpose? Why does it exist? And then we're going to talk today specifically about galactic origins. We're going to talk about why it is beneficial at this time to know your own galactic origins if you believe that you have experienced lifetimes outside of Earth, and how that can help you root down into this planet and really commit to being here in this lifetime. We're also going to talk about my personal origin story. I'm going to share this with you. I believe that I have come from a star system outside of Earth, and we're going to talk about what I know about that, how I came into contact with it, and how you can come into contact with your own information. As always, and you would have heard this in the introduction as well, only take what resonates with you. 100%. If I can tell you anything today, if I can stress anything, it's that each of us is living our own individual existence. This is shaped from your life experience. It's shaped from the emotions that you have around those life experiences. This also comes from things like your family, your ancestry, the weight that you carry in your DNA that is gravity around the events that your ancestors have felt, right? This is also our perceptions. What societal beliefs have we taken on to ourselves and which have we not? All of this shapes your individual reality. Have you ever heard that two people can go through the exact same experience and remember it completely differently? Sure, the facts are the facts, but there's still an element of, oh, I don't remember it feeling that way, or I don't remember that person's tone in this way. It's because we each take in information through our own unique filter. So your filter exists for a reason, right? This is a very spiritual concept to me. And the point of spirituality, as I personally see it, is for me to know myself in greater capacity. That's what this podcast is all about. It's really about getting to know yourself. I'm going to hopefully expose you to a bunch of different topics and crazy ideas maybe. And I want you to think about what they mean for you. Does it resonate for you? Does it not? Why does it resonate or why does it not? Ask yourself those questions. Think about, what context you could fit this into your life, or how would you see that in your own perception of reality? This is the whole point of this podcast, is just to help you expand and understand your own self through the exploration of these concepts, stories, and maybe interviews at some point. We'll see. But who am I? My name is Meg Bartlett. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've lived here for about 6 or 7 years now, I think. It's been quite a long time for me to stay in any one place. This is my forever home, and I live an amazing life, but it wasn't always that way. I grew up experiencing a lot of horrific things. I was sexually abused. I was mentally abused, physically abused, just pretty much the whole gamut, right? There was a lot of things that I experienced, and I have come out the other end to help other people through that. The avenue that I took is very unique. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved dreams. I loved to look at my dreams, but I was also terrified of my dreams because of the trauma that I was experiencing. And dream work is one of my favorite things in the world. Today, I am a dream interpreter, but I found dream interpretation by actually looking at nightmares. at my own nightmares specifically. There was a point when I was 19 that I understood that something was very, very wrong in my environment. I had been denying almost all of the trauma that was happening to me, telling myself that the people I'd loved couldn't do this. This just wasn't a reality. And it was getting so dissonant and so difficult. I felt what I now know was a soul urge to GTFO, to get the fuck out. And so I left my hometown. I left everything I knew behind. And I joined the military. I joined the Marine Corps. And it was a very interesting experience. 100% appreciate it. 100% would have chosen it again. I learned so much. I gained everything that I needed, everything that I didn't know I was looking for. At the time I found there. And it was so helpful to me in the moment to, not only get me out of the space that I had, grown up in, but also to help me explore, okay, I've now experienced all of this stuff, but who am I? That was the beginning of my spirituality, was joining the Marine Corps because I chose myself. And in the moment, I didn't see it as choosing myself. I told myself I was really selfish for running away from my family, for not helping them, for trying to take care of myself, even though I was literally giving up my life to enter the service, right? And it was just a really interesting experience. I started having a ton of nightmares that were really, really visceral, sleep paralysis demons in the room with me. Those are really just a part of yourself. We'll talk about that at some point as well. And it was just really interesting. I started seeing a therapist when I was in the military as well, realizing that, hey, there's a lot of issues here. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up and I don't know what to do with this. And it just so happened that down the line, I took my nightmares to my traditional psychological therapist and I said, these are the dreams that I'm having. These are the nightmares. And I think this is what this means. I started interpreting them right away, as I had been when I was a kid. And I just said, this is what I think I'm experiencing. I think it's telling me I need to go in this direction. I think I need to look in this corner. I think I need to look in this box, in this cave. And I directed my own therapy in that way. And by taking such a direct approach to myself in saying, I'm not afraid to look at what's under there. I'm going to try at least. I'm going to bring it to the table and I'm going to try. This enabled me to move through years and years, like a whole foundation of traumatic events into healing, into a healing moment. Of course, there's a lot more to the story. There's a lot more detail. If you're really interested in those specifics, or if you yourself have nightmares and you're interested in how I stopped experiencing those and how I moved through my healing experience, then you can head over to my previous podcast, The Dream Axis, and check out episode 7, My Sleep Paralysis Demon. There's just this aspect of, I went through all of this healing and I taught myself how to interpret dreams by working with my own and then by, working with family and friends and really diving into people, really getting excited to explore the different concepts and symbols. And, a symbol could mean a million different things depending on who it is related to, who is coming up with the symbol in their dream space. Because we all have our unique dream language, but I'm a dream interpreter first and foremost. I'm also an oracle. To me, this is an identifier where I pick up on a lot of different universal information. It's not so specific as you might find with a medium. So a medium is an individual who can communicate with other beings. Usually it's ancestors or past loved ones. But in other contexts, that can be, deities or angels or guides. There are some people who are mediumistic in that way. And they are pretty, to me at least, they would seem more direct in that they can tell you where the information is coming from. Sometimes I don't know where my information is coming from. It just feels right in my body. And it just says, this is true to me, or this is what I believe, or this resonates, and it comes from the universe at large, maybe even directly from source. I don't know. But as an oracle, I bring up things that I believe need to be said in the moment, things that need to be looked at, things that need to be explored, and pieces of information that are meant for each individual that I come into contact with. I am also, most recently, a galactic historian. Now, this is really interesting. I was not anticipating this turn, but it happened around December. I had this really interesting activation that I was called to participate in. I'm not a person that seeks out these types of services very often, but this activation just really called me. And the individual who performed it really called me. There were so many signs, so many synchronicities. It was unbelievable. By the end of it, I was like, there is not a shred of doubt that I am supposed to be here right now. And I go through the activation. I'm getting all of these images, downloads. It's almost overwhelming. I don't know what to make of it. I'm like, holy shit, this is a life experience I am going to remember forever. This is a big moment. And I got out of that session and I didn't know what to say to the practitioner. I just said, I think I just need to think about it on the way home. And I'm driving on the highway and I'm just, my brain is going a million miles an hour. And I'm like, I need to slow down, slow down, slow down. And all of a sudden I blurt out, I am a galactic historian. And I followed that up with, what the fuck is that? And so since then, I've been figuring out what the fuck that is. And I'm so excited to share this with you today. So this is why we're diving into galactic origins and what I think about them. Now, as a galactic historian, I am not a healer in this way. So I don't work with individuals, galactic ancestors. I don't work with galactic healing. I do not perform activations currently at this time. I'm a historian. I am a person that is annotating my experiences so that they can be learned from, so that they can be observed, so that they can be documented. And this is my purpose here, is to bring information into the earth and to share it with people in a wide audience so that they can make what they want from it, right? This is why it's so important to take what resonates for you. So what can you take from this podcast? This podcast, we are going to explore not just galactic things. We're going to explore everything in between. I have some crazy dreams that I've been having that I want to share with you. I have been working on my own astral travel. So I am someone who used to be terrified of astral travel, which you might laugh because I work with dreams. But I'm going to walk you through sort of the process as I've been experiencing it. I'm still not an expert, but I'm definitely taking off at this time. I'm also having some ET encounters. I'm also, diving into these galactic histories. I meditate very much. I see symbolism everywhere. So we could even talk about, the albino squirrel that loves to climb the tree in my backyard, or the Northeast gang of turkeys that lives in Minneapolis. We have an actual group of turkeys, like actual turkeys, and they just roam the city in a pack, or just like a group. And it's just really funny. But whenever I see them, I'm like, oh, there's something there. And I always look for a feather. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things, connecting with your ancestors and past loved ones, going into the underworld of yourself, and really looking for that self-knowledge. I believe, and I said this before, I'll say it again, the most impactful thing you can do for yourself and your spirituality and your waking life and your psychology, your emotional self, all of these different layers that make you, the best thing you can do is learn about yourself. Know thyself. That is what you can do. That is, the more you know thyself, the more you know the universe. It's this uncovering of, what beautiful facet are you? What are all of the parts of you? Who are you? Right? That is my mission. I'm still figuring out who I am, right? This podcast is part of that. This is definitely going to be a collection of my personal journey experiences. You are going to be learning about me right alongside myself. So we're in this together, and I'm hoping that this can help you see, maybe there are some methods or modalities that I pull out that, really resonate with you, and you want to try them too, to get to know yourself better. I'm sharing all of this to give you ideas, to give you the concepts, to give you things that, either really that you're attracted to, that really resonate for you, or things where you're like, ooh, that is not for me at all. You can still learn from that, right? The things that don't resonate for you, that's why you got to ask, why doesn't this resonate for me? Maybe it'll point you off in another direction you wouldn't have found otherwise, and you can find something else out for yourself. All of this that I'm sharing is for you. I experience my life, in the moment, but in recording it and sharing it with you, I want you to learn something about yourself. I want you to heal by learning about yourself. And as you shine a light on the different facets of you, that light will shine on those around you. And this is how I might be able to help the world. So let's dive into the topic of today's episode, galactic origins. Before I dive into my origins, we're just going to talk about what is the purpose? Why even know your galactic origins in the first place? And if you are someone who does not identify as having something outside the human experience, this is for you too. This is exposing yourself to a new concept. This is, coming into another story. This can also help you identify your whys through the reflection of these other existences. So this episode is for everyone. But why know your galactic origins? For me, it has been so impactful to have come into the knowledge of mine that I have found myself more rooted, more grounded in this human earthly existence than I was before. And that might seem a bit backwards at first, but to me, having the question answered, it's no longer a question. There's no longer thought and space that is being taken up by it. I'm no longer wondering, am I a starseed? Where am I from? What does it mean? Why the fuck am I here on this planet? This planet kind of sucks. Was the other planet as sucky? And so, answering all of those questions can really just help you focus in the moment. There's a lot of people out there right now. There's a lot of people who are trying to make a difference in the world, whether they're light workers or just spiritual seekers or people who are trying to heal the planet, activists. Everyone who is trying to help heal the world in some capacity is here for some damn good work. And a lot of those people are really struggling right now. We are in a really difficult time. This message is being recorded in February of 2024, and shit's kind of fucked out there. Go look in a history book if you're listening to this, years in the future. But there's just a lot going on, and it is really overwhelming. There are so many friends that I have talked to from so many different places all over the world, and they're all experiencing some level of what the fuck is going on. And, there's people in many different situations, but we're all just kind of questioning, what is this? What is this? There are some people who are getting to the point that, I have friends telling me they don't want to come back. They don't know if they want to come back for another lifetime, for another round. They're not sure that they want to be on this planet again. They don't want to feel hurt coming here again. They don't know if they want to suffer through this again. But when my friends tell me this, that they don't know if they want to come back, that just tells me they love this planet more than anything. And they're searching for their why. They're searching for, why am I here? They want that question answered so that they can turn around and put more effort into their work. For me, I have found that in knowing my origins, I am just so much more rooted in the present. It has helped me identify these patterns that I have found in not only my current lifetime, but my past lives on this planet as well. This is not my first rodeo here on Earth, but this is definitely, I have several themes that I think stem from my galactic origins that I'm working through as a soul. There are lessons that I have spent hundreds of lifetimes trying to learn or work through or let go of. And some of them started here in my galactic origin story. And having that knowledge, having that direction, saying, okay, wow, I can see where the actual root comes from that I have carried with me across galaxies, across star systems, right? That is monumental to me. I'm really ready to just say, okay, what can I accomplish in this lifetime, both on a personal scale, but also in relation to those around me and this planet? What can I do? What impact can I have? And all of that comes from knowing myself and knowing what I am working through so that I can separate what I'm working through and what I want to accomplish here. So knowing your galactic origins can help you be more present here on Earth. And boy, do we need it. So we are going to dive into my origin story. For some people, this may be an emotional experience. For others, this might be a really interesting, creative story. Whatever comes up for you, take the moment, feel it out. Feel it out. See what comes up for you. Journal after this. Take some time, set it aside for yourself, and dedicate this next bit towards your own self-expansion. All right. I have two origins that I'm going to share with you. They are both from the same star system. They are both from the constellation of Lyra, and they are both around the star Vega. I first came into this universe as a plant. The first consciousness I have is as a plant. I see myself in this lifetime, the consciousness that I have and how I see it today with my own eyes, because I didn't have eyes in this existence, is a dark moon. There's no real sunlight here. I can see the sun glowing off on other planets in the star system, but I'm kind of kept in the shade here. There's a lot of rolling hills and mountains. There's this beautiful fog that covers the grass or the other plant life that I would assume is like that. And I'm a flower. I have a blue stem and I have a red rose-like expression. I feed off of the cosmic wind. This is what gives me energy. The cosmic wind, the solar wind, the particles that come from the sun. Even though the light does not hit me, they flow around the gravity. They flow around the different planets in this solar system. And they reach me on this moon. And I sway back and forth very gently in the solar cosmic wind. And this is my first existence. It's a peaceful existence. It's a beautiful existence. This is what I return to when I meditate. When I sit and when I'm trying to expand or just find quiet, I gently sway from side to side as I did when I was that plant. And I imagine myself just peacefully existing, floating in the cosmic wind. Why my consciousness originated in a plant? I don't know. I'm still looking for that answer. Why I was kept in darkness? I don't know. There's a lot of different theories I could have about that, beginning in darkness, finding the light, the Big Bang is a representation of that. First there was nothing, then there was everything. There's a lot of religious origin stories that start in darkness and then, something brings light to it. For me, this initial consciousness living in the dark in a being that doesn't have eyes in this facet that can see the world around it, right? There's a type of darkness. There's a limit to the senses that it has. But there's a consciousness that I had as this plant. And this is my first introduction to the universe, consciously. My following existences, I think, were other plants, maybe other animals and other beings in this solar system around Vega. But the next lifetime, the next galactic origin that I can really pinpoint, and I say origins because these are the big gravitational centers in my soul memory. These origins are the important ones to me. These are the ones that stand out. It would be too much for me to have all of them. So this next origin, I'm on a planet surrounding Vega. This planet is beautiful. There are a few different conscious species that live on this planet. Some of them you may know as Lyrans, which people describe as cat-like beings or humanoids that have cat or lion-like faces. There are several deities out there in ancient religions that have cat or lion-like faces that are humanoid as well, and they most likely came from the Lyran constellation. I actually work with a deity called Sekhmet, and she is a Lyran with the cat-like face. But there are other species on this planet as well, living alongside the lion beings. And even though I think I've lived in existence as what you would say typical Lyran as we know them on Earth right now with the cat-like face, I most prominently lived as an avian being. So, bird-like with wings, something that soared across the skies, and not just the skies of this planet. I was able to soar into the solar system. So I was not bound by the planet's atmosphere. There was something about my composition that enabled me to leave the atmosphere and exist out in space. This is the origin story that has really impacted me. This is the one where I carry wounds that I am still healing from. Our world was not perfect, but we thought it was. We thought we were perfect. We knew that there were other beings out there in the universe. We had fought with each other in the very early days of this planet, just like humans are today. There were wars, there were conflicts, there were battles, we had armies, we had technology to kill each other, to cause harm. We had technologies of war that we created. But then we learned how to live together. Our consciousness grew as a unit. Our different species came together, and we understood that we shared this world. We shared this planet. We thought our planet was perfect, and we thought that we had achieved the level of perfection that the universe was looking for. And in our perceived perfection, we decided we wanted to prepare ourselves to not be overtaken by anything else out in the universe. We knew that there were other species of aliens, extraterrestrials. We knew there were other star systems with worlds with life around them. And we prepared our defenses. We kept our war machines in case our system was ever invaded. We didn't live in the present moment. We didn't embrace our world. We didn't live entirely in peace and harmony, even though we told ourselves we were. We were always preparing for a war, and war did find us. At the time that it did, I was an avian commander in the world's army. I had led my forces through exercises. We had kept up with our technology. We were continuing to, talk about what it would be like to be invaded. That was my job. And I thought I would never actually see it. I thought it was all just for show, just in case. And then one day they came. They were draconians. Some would call them reptilians, but there are, to me, many different types of reptilians, and they can't all be under one label, and they are not all negative. That is a common misconception. And they came to us in our solar system seeking aid. They had, through their own experience, through their own conflicts with themselves, destroyed their homeworld. And they had somehow found their way here. Maybe it was through a black hole in Einstein-Rosen bridge. Maybe it was they just traveled that far across the stars. We never found out. But they arrived and they sought our aid. They wanted to share our planet because they did not have a planet to return to. We had resources that they needed, and we selfishly kept them to ourselves. We told them there wasn't room for an entire species to live alongside us on our planet. And they had nothing left to lose. Our selfishness was not their fault. They were seeking aid, and we turned them away. They lashed out of grief, out of hunger, out of a need for resources, out of a fear of their species dying out. And I personally believe they were justified in doing so. They lashed out, and the war began. The war for Vega. It was a long war. Our technology was very different from theirs. So it was a learning curve to try to figure out how our technologies could affect each other because we came from completely different areas of the universe. This war carried on and on. I led troops into battle. I saw a lot of war in my lifetime there, in this one specifically. And I was part of a faction of our people that created an end to the war. We saw an opportunity to decimate our enemy, and we tried to take it. What we thought we were doing was taking out their entire main vessel. We didn't realize they were using it as a decoy. They had all left, and they had secretly dispersed onto another planet or a moon. And with all of our forces out in space, ready to bring this war to completion, we left the back door open. And these draconians, in their grief, in their anger at being ignored, at being starved for resources, when we denied them help, they just couldn't take it anymore. And they decided that if they could not be invited to our world, then we didn't deserve our world either. And right as we were about to end this war, we heard a large commotion behind us. Battalions turned around, and we watched our world disintegrate to nothing. The anguish and the grief and the responsibility and the knowing that I was a part of this has stuck with me since that moment. The understanding of what it's like to withhold love from those who ask for it, to withhold aid from those who need it, tore my heart in two. But it was a moment that changed this star system forever. And it's the reason that many Lyrans and many avians have found themselves here on Earth after all this time. We didn't have a home to go back to. We also became wanderers of the universe. In the aftermath of this event, like in so many cases, beings come to their senses. They feel the universe around them. They feel what they know. They experience emotions they didn't know they had, and they come together. We did this. Many of the Draconians stayed to help us, and we helped them in return. Unfortunately, with the complete decimation of a planet, the entire solar system starts to wobble, for lack of a better phrase, out of its circuit. Each planet to its sun has its own gravity. They weave together like a lattice. They hold each other in place. As these planets circle around the sun, they each have their own cadence and rhythm, and they each rely on each other to hold them as a group in the places they have chosen. The sun also relies on this to hold it in place, to give it purpose. With our world suddenly gone, the gravitational forces began to pull away from each other. Planets shifted their positions in the solar system. Moons moved off kilter. The sun's axis shifted. Things started to unravel. There were other beings on these other planets, flowers, like myself originally, animals, and we knew that we had to do something. We gathered together our brightest minds, our spiritual leaders from each species, the avians, the Lyrans, the Draconians that stayed, and we found a solution together. We created a gravity well. It looks like a pyramid floating in space. And into it, each citizen poured a piece of their own gravity. You have your own gravity. It carries the weight of your words. It's felt when you share the love that you have with others. This gravity is a part of your soul. And each of us there who decided to help put this solar system back together placed a part of our own gravity into this gravity well. We put our imprints on it, and we set it back into the space where our planet had existed until it carried the weight of gravity that that planet had had. We wove the other planets back together, and finally they settled back into balance. The planet was not there, but we were. This gravity well remains, holding that system together today. It stands as a memorial. It lives as a memorial to the lesson we learned. When all that people need is love or aid, there is no room for selfishness. We all have the capacity to love. We all have the capacity to share. This is a universal principle, and this is the lesson I have learned. Since that lifetime, I have carried guilt and the sense of responsibility with me. I have been trying to do everything good that I can for others. All of this today, I find beautiful. Since that lifetime, I have lived many other lives. We all went off in our own directions. Some of us may have died and joined other species in a new soul existence to experience other planets. Some of us may have actually traveled to those other planets and experienced them that way before reincarnating again. Whatever the case, I have lived many lives since then on many worlds, and I have found myself here on Earth. I consider Earth to be my home, not because I don't have a home to go back to, but because I have chosen to identify as human. There is something about the human experience, something about the human existence that is so different from everywhere else in the universe. It's different from every other galaxy. It's different from every other solar system. It's different from every other planet I have touched. This Earth may be the only space, the only gravitational center in the universe where true balance can be experienced between light and darkness, between what is known and unknown, between the opposites. This is the point where it all comes together. And this is what my soul has been searching for. So I have completely dedicated myself to this planet. I have identified myself as human. Even though my soul has experienced many other things, I am here in this existence, and I am here to help humanity love this world and to bring it into balance. We're nearing the end of this episode, and you may have a lot of questions, but I want you to just sit with this for a second. Next episode, we'll answer some of those questions, such as how did I come into this information, and how might you come into your own if you haven't already. If you have any other questions regarding this or possibly future topics that you'd like me to cover here on the Access channel, head on over to my website and fill out the contact form. My website is megbartlett.com. Easy enough. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I love you, I see you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.